Kaya Kwaba Kidi, Junang Nunda, Mandamang Yoranga Wadandi Buja. Hello, good to see you together on Wadandi country. Nagala Kadich Wadandi Yungan Yali, the traditional owner, Wadandi Buja. We acknowledge Wadandi people, the country traditional owners, and Wadandi country. I declare this meeting open at 4:32 p.m. Committee members and members of the public, please note this meeting will be live streamed and recorded. Item 2, attendance. We have an apology from Shire President Jean Rice. Item 3, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest? No, none required. Item 4, public questions. Are there any public questions from the gallery? Thank you, Mr. Murray. Would you like to step forward, please? I think you're well acquainted with the process.
Yes, thank you, Tracy. Mark Murray, 57 Gardner Road, Quarrumup. I just had a request and a question. So my question first is, I think it's on page 10, is an election funding commitment. I'm not really sure what advocacy could possibly warrant an election funding commitment.
Chair, can I just make a reply? Yeah. Yeah, from my recollection of why that's on the list is that is one of the reasons we formed the Advocacy Committee, is because there was a couple of elections that year, state and federal. So it's about having shovel-ready projects and items that we need in our communities ready to ask for election promises when there are elections coming up. So that would say, for example, 60 million for the hospital redevelopment or money for the Western Pavilion. So it's advocate to make sure that we have stuff ready to advocate for when there's elections.
Okay, that's good to know. I'd genuinely, deeply request that gets further clarified, because that's not clear at all. If that's okay.
Yeah, thank you for raising that, because certainly that was our intent, as Councillor Dath said, to actually have projects that were ready to be endorsed and funded potentially, but we needed to make that clear, I guess, to everyone else that was the intent. So thanks for highlighting that, Mr. Murray. No
worries. And the other one, of course, is, which I'm sure that some of you would probably imagine that I'd ask to be added to advocacy, would be agriculture. So I'm not sure if you'd like us at some point in time as a farming group to communicate with the Shire about, what advocacy that we might seek. Thanks, Andrea. I see you nodding your head there. Of course, we're looking at the draft ag policy at the moment, and, the championing of agriculture in the region, a right to farm, so to speak, potentially as well from my perspective. So see if we can put that in advocacy for the future, that'd be great.
Obviously these highlight some key areas, but at every opportunity, agriculture is something that we're highly focused on. And whenever the opportunity arises, we certainly do advocate for agriculture. And I think certainly we want to continue that. And maybe I'll hand to the CEO, because I know you've been working hard.
So thank you very much, Mr. Murray. Yes, we have identified through the draft agriculture policy some specific advocacy items around agriculture, and once we have that policy adopted and an implementation plan, any items that require advocacy would go to the advocacy committee. In the interim, as the chair has mentioned, that doesn't prevent opportunities for advocacy. I suppose the other thing I would add to this particular list, generally these are items where we have a pretty specific ask. So that's why I think it's really important when we finalise the agriculture policy, we're pretty specific about what we would like the advocacy committee to ask for.
Great, and it's important that it's noted, which is good. Yeah, Mel?
Can I add something as well? So this actually, this report only shows the ones that are in the top priorities as well. So the list is actually way more intensive than this. We have a much bigger spreadsheet than just the final numbers on this report. And on there include like the small abattoir. So we've been, that's been higher up on the list, but now that's moved on. So it's always moving, but when there are items that are important in the agricultural industry, they do end up on here, and then they might move up and down the list. And like the pothole borer, obviously very important to our agricultural, like to avocados and vines and all that kind of stuff. So that's gone up really high on our list at the moment. But yeah, they're definitely that. I think one of our first items was about the supporting small farmers with the abattoir issues that were going on last year. So yeah. Definitely any ones that come out of that will be added to.
So if I may, just for a minute longer, just because you brought up the small abattoir, there's been one approved, and that's why I bought, you've seen that? Is it Nanup? No. Manjimup, sorry. That's why I was rudely getting my phone out going, remember where it is. So, there's some, the growers group is planning a field trip ourselves to that. So anyway, thank you for the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. It's refreshing to have some questions and some interrogation. Thank you very much. We move on to item 5, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Do I have a councillor to put that on the table at all? That the Advocacy Committee confirms the minutes of the Advocacy Committee meeting held on the 13th of August 2025 to be a true and correct record of the meeting. Thank you, Councillor Dath. Councillor Keno, thank you for seconding that. Councillor Dath. Thank you, councillors. Can we put that to the vote? All those in favour? Thank you. That was passed unanimously. We now move on to item 6.1, the reports of committees and officer reports, the advocacy framework. Do I have a councillor that would like to put that on the table? Keno, as written. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, councillor. Councillor Keno. Councillor Dath. Do I have any other councillors who would like to speak to this motion? No. Well, perhaps I will speak to it because I think we've spent a considerable amount of time developing this framework, and it's been fantastic to have the new councillors on board to suggest different ways to prioritise advocacy priorities. We've developed, I guess, some business cases and some portfolios to ensure that we're meeting with different, I guess, stakeholders. And I'd like to thank the CEO and the Shire President for their really hard work at going to Perth on regular occasions, meeting with ministers and also meeting with the department heads, and our staff for also trying to work, I guess, on the other side from the bureaucrat side. So thank you for endeavouring, I guess, to get some outcomes. And we are making progress. It's noted that we're getting more meetings with ministers and that we are getting recognition, I think, of some of our needs. So thank you. And we see before us, I guess, it's an ongoing battle really, but I think we are making headway. So thank you. And we move to item 6. Oh, I got ahead of myself there. Thank you. Could we please put that item to the vote? All those in favour? Thank you. That's passed unanimously. I now move on to item 6.2, the advocacy update. Do I have a councillor who would like to put that on the table for us? Councillor Daff, thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cano. Councillor Daff.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this has been a lot of work over the last probably 6 to 8 months to get to this point. And like Councillor Muir just mentioned, we've had new councillors come on and we've reassessed the table and we've started to add more information into it. So we're keeping really good records of what's going on in this space, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the next couple of years if we can start to make some positive progress. So yeah, thank you to all the Shire staff for all their work on this. Thank you.
Do I have another councillor who would like to speak to this? Councillor Keno.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that. I think this has been a really great addition to the things that we do, and that we get that opportunity to sit around the table and have those discussions. But I think most importantly what comes of it is when we do have visiting ministers or opportunities to put ourselves forward, we actually have documents that are there and available and consistent. The message is consistent that we're putting out what we need it for, and they leave with something in their hand rather than a conversation around the table. And it is a moving target, and it will always be a moving target as the priorities change, but there's sort of some key ones in there which we, hopefully we'll start to see some movement on soon if we stay on message and keep working on it. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with the way this is going.
Thank you, Councillor Keno. Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak to this? Councillor Bell.
Yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge the huge amount of work that has gone into preparing this table, and thank staff for their dedication to undertaking it. It's such an important piece for the Shire moving forward, so thank you.
Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just add briefly that we did have a meeting with the Grants Commission on Monday, which I've been in local government for quite a while now. It's the first time I've ever got face-to-face with the Grants Commission, and it was a good two-way meeting because they were pleased to be hearing from us and get some more detailed information about what is actually going on in this Shire, and I think they learnt quite a bit from that meeting, and I think we learnt as well quite a bit from that meeting about the availability of funding, which in a lot of ways is not that great. This is Commonwealth money that gets funnelled through the States Grants Commission, but there could be a whole lot more for the needs that we have, but they also appreciated, they specifically acknowledged that it was good that we had an advocacy committee, that seemed to be an initiative that they didn't come across that often, and they acknowledged that and congratulated us on having that. So another good example of the value of an advocacy committee. Thank you.
Well, thank you. On that note, would we like to put this to the vote? All those in favour? Thank you, and that was passed unanimously. We now move on to item 7, general business. Are there any items for general business? No. Item 8, confidential business. Now, we don't have any confidential business before us. So we now move on to item 9, closure of the meeting. I'd really like to thank members of the public for coming and attending. It's wonderful to have you here. And I declare the meeting closed at 4:46 p.m. Thank you so much.